So I know some of you are still having some calculator woes, and maybe we can fix that later on. But really, it's your change of base formula, which we've been talking about since like day 1 or day 2 of this unit. So if you are still struggling with calculator business, it's probably a 5 to 10 minute conversation in office hours. Please come see me. Trinity.
Also, I know how to do it.
Sweet, you're the best. Thank you. All right, so we're gonna start in, and as I was walking around, people had the right answer. It's just a matter of the double checking piece, right? So the right answer ended up being like 3 to the 4th plus 1 all over 6, and then as a decimal, 13.6666667 or something like that.
Oh.
Yes.
So right there it says changes from. Is the dot right there an I or a comma?
This right here, it's from theirs.
Oh,
Okay. All right, so I have all this written up and I want to talk about it quite a bit today, and we're going to do a bunch of problems and all that. But before we jump in, I just wanted to let you know this is the last piece of information you need for your books. It's also the last piece of information that you need for the unit. So after today, tomorrow's going to be a book day for you. And then next Monday is going to be a review for test, and then next Wednesday is your test over this unit. And then the rest of the time from then until your books are due are going to be book days. So we carved out a chunk of time for you, but that means you actually have to use it. And for the most part, people have not been using the book time we've been giving you so far. Like, we know we're not like babysitting you and we're not yelling at you to get to work, but we're also like, we know that most of you are super far behind. So tomorrow, book day, plan on it. Trinity, what's up?
does that mean, because you said that this unit would take a half hour, so it's better for next week?
Yeah, it is, because we have spring break is mid-March. We're already toward the end of February. I mean, so yeah, and your books are due March 15th. No excuses by the end of that day. So it's coming fast. All right, so we're done with new stuff after today, like I said, for this unit. And then going into spring break, you will have some work to do for us. And then we have a new thing starting when we come back.
Our final corrections are due before spring break.
Yes, final exam corrections. I said I would give you lots of time, but yes, that they were supposed to be done before spring break. Thank you for that reminder. All right, so let's jump into inverses. So this is kind of definition of inverses. An inverse is a direct reflection of the line y equals x. So just to kind of give you that in terms of graphing, here is the line y equals x. Okay, so an inverse means that it's a reflection over that line. So I gave you the example, if I have an original point at 1, 3, which would be somewhere in here, right? Then the reflection, or sorry, the inverse point is at 3, 1, which would be here, and it's like a direct reflection over that line.
The inverse point is 1, 3.
No, this is like this, I think it says your original.
Oh, okay, but why is that your original point?
I just picked one.
So it doesn't have anything to do with the line?
No,
Okay.
not at all. I just picked a random example point. And then this would be the inverse point. So in other words, in very simple terms, you're just taking x and y and you're flip-flopping them. You're not changing signs. It's just switching your x and y value flat out. So on a graph or set of points, if I said, here's your original set of points, and I asked for the inverse set of points, all you would have to do is flip-flop your x and y for all of them. That's it. Questions about the point situation or the graph situation? Trinity?
Can you graph with logs?
Yes, you can graph with logs. That's something that we are, if we have time, we're going to touch in our last unit of this semester. Okay, so, but yes, you can graph logs. They have some weird things to them, which is why we're going to wait and hold off. We also want to make sure you have enough time for books. So, but yes, you can. Aaliyah.
Anything you're about to say going to be written down on the board?
Not everything. No.
Should go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I would hold off on going to the bathroom right now. Okay. All right, so that's if you have a set amount of points. If you have an equation, okay, so to find an inverse of an equation, that's kind of our main focus today because the flip-flopping of points I think is pretty easy. So to find an inverse of an equation, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to answer your phone. You're going to change f of x to by. Then you're going to swap x and y in the equation. Then thirdly, you're going to solve for y again. And then the last thing you're going to do is change y to the inverse notation, which is f to the negative 1 of x. One of the problems with inverses is unfortunately you can't double check them. So the only way you're going to be able to double check them is with me next Monday when your questions are due, and I will post the answers and you can check your answers as part of your test review. But like with all the solving problems, you could double check your answers, and but with these you can't. It's just unfortunate. I mean, I guess you could graph both of them in the graphing calculator and see if they're a reflection over this line. So you could do that if you wanted to. But for the most part, just kind of go with it and then check your work. All right, so let's do an example of this business. I like inverses. I think they're kind of fun. It's just a manipulation of things instead of solving to get an answer. So we're going to do f of x equals 3 log base 2 of 7x plus 4 and then minus 5.
So all of that is on y?
That's what f of x equals. Yeah. It's a big long equation. All right, so what's my first step? Yeah, make f of x be y. So all I'm going to do is rewrite this as y equals. Yeah, don't overcomplicate it. That's step 1. Then what's step 2 say?
Swap x and y in the equation.
Yeah, so all I'm going to do is change their places. So that when I write the next step, I'm going to have x equals 3 log base 2 of 7y plus 4 minus 5. Does that feel okay so far? Feels very weird? Oh, good? Okay. Good. All right, so now the trick is now I want to get y by itself. Now I want to actually solve for y. So this is where your solving skills from the past week or two are going to come in. So I'm trying to solve for y, which means I need to get rid of all the junk on that same side as y. So just like our normal solving, what's the first thing we're going to do?
Add 5.
Yes, add 5, absolutely. Now, can x and 5 be added together? No, good answer. So I'm just going to write it as x plus 5. So then I have x plus 5 equals 3 log base 2 of 7y plus 4. Still trying to solve for y. So just like all of our normal solving things, what comes next?
No, I feel like we should get rid of the 3 in front of the log.
Yes, for sure. We're going to get rid of the 3 in front of the log by doing what? Dividing. Now over here, this x plus 5 over 3, you're just going to keep it like that. It's kind of freaky weird, but we're just going to keep it as x plus 5 all over 3. And that's going to equal log base 2 of 7y plus 4. Are there any questions about the solving piece up to this point? It's kind of what you've been doing a lot of over the past few weeks, right? Even though you're leaving the x in there, it's still the same process. So is there anything I can clarify? Okay, now what? Rewrite it. Good, Trinity. So now I'm going to rewrite it, and I'm going to come up over here so you guys in the back can see a little bit better. If I were to rewrite this, what's that going to look like?
Big 2, and then on top of the big 2 is an exponent would be.
Okay, good. So my base of 2, my little baby 2 here becomes a big 2. And then it has an exponent of what, Aaliyah?
The x plus 5 over 3.
Right. Super weird.
That equals 7y plus 4.
Perfect. Nicely done, Aaliyah. Good. So it looks really strange. And I will tell you that with inverses, one of the biggest problems that people have is with their handwriting, because this has to be an exponent. So you have to be really careful to make sure that your x plus 5 over 3 doesn't become so big that it stops looking like an exponent. Because it's 2 to this power. All right. Still good?
Yeah.
Now what?
Then you take away 4.
Yep, then I take away 4. Can I subtract 4 from this 2? No way, Jose. Because the 2 really has an x plus 5 over 3. So I'm going to have, and you guys have been putting it out front, is that right? So negative 4 plus
Is it
2.
okay to just do 4 minus 2?
No, because the negative's with the 4 and not the 2. The 2 is positive, so you want to be really careful to keep it with the correct number that it started with. Great question, though. All right, and then?
All of reverse, divide by 7.
Yeah, I'm going to divide everything by 7, and we're just going to leave it like that. So now I'm going to have y equals negative 4 plus 2 to the x plus 5 over 3, all over 7. I've gotten y by itself. What's the very last step I'm supposed to do?
Change y to inverse.
Inverse notation.
Change y to inverse notation. So I'm going to rewrite y as this guy. So I'm going to have f to the negative 1 of x equals, that's just, it just means that that's your inverse. So f to the negative 1 of x, like it's a mathematical notation. I don't know who created it or who decided upon that, but that's always your symbol for inverse. Yeah, kind of weird. But that's our inverse. We're done.
So you don't like do any weird things to make it a decimal?
Nope, we can't because x is still in the equation.
Oh, right.
And if I try and type this into the main screen on the calculator, it's going to assign a random variable or a random number for x, and you're going to get something really freaky weird.
Can I go to the bathroom now?
Yeah, hurry back though, because we're not done. All right, so what questions do you have before we try another one? Trinity.
If, you know how like the other ones with the logs, if you don't have logs, you would write the log and you did. Is it the same with this one?
Yeah, so inverses, if you start with a log, you should end up with that one.
Okay.
And same thing, if you start without a log with an exponent, then you should end up with a log. Great question. Yes, totally, totally. Other things before we try again? All right, I'm gonna see if I can, throw things around the room. And this is all falling apart.
Oh.
Now. All right. I'll find the things I threw later. Oh, here's some. There's another gray piece somewhere.
Whoops.
All right. So what I want you to do with this one is start it, try it, and then I'm going to post things slowly as you go. So for this one, we're going to have f of x equals 1/2 natural log of 3x minus 1 plus 3. Okay, so everybody is going to start it. I will post things slowly. Just do what you can with it. I'll be walking around to answer questions as well. The whole side. That's why I wanted to do one like this.
So it's like basically whatever's over here is just one.
Yep, for sure. And then Jay, don't forget, because I know I thought the board before you were done writing is that for your video and everything online. Attach it later. Okay, you multiplied before you got rid of your 3. Remember, when you solve, you always add or subtract first.
Yeah, so and now we rewrite with the log. Now without
I just put up the next step for you to check.
don't know. Oh, that's okay.
What to add?
So some of you are stuck at this step right here. Think about it. Think about what we did last time. Sorry, that was harder than I meant it to be. Cover things. All right, I'm posting the next step.
So like, pretty much after you do that.
Okay, and then I'm going to leave you to work for a little bit.
I'm alive.
And let me know when you guys are ready if you want to switch to the next example. We're going to do another one, so if you don't want to just sit there. Yeah, I think so. I mean, be careful. Is it inverse of x divided by 3 as well? Or is it just that side? Alright, I know I'm going slower than some of you, but that's just fine. I want you to be able to check your work, not just wait for me to do it. And then after this step, all I'm going to do is write the final answer. So the in-betweensy steps are going to be up to you from here to the end. And then I'll show the end answer for you to check. This should be your final answer on this. All right. Yay, celebrate. All right, any questions before I give you another one? All right. Too bad. These, you can get really good at these when you just do the practice. Because inverses I don't think are terribly hard because it's a lot of the stuff you've already done. It's just a matter of remembering like, oh, when I get stuck, I'm going to rewrite it. So same thing with this one. This one's just a little bit different because what is it starting without? How is this one different? Yeah, it doesn't have a log, which means my inverse should have a log. Okay, so good. Try this one. I'll be around to help as well. Did you get it?
Yeah.
So neat. Yeah, these one it does feel kind of strange, huh? That you're not using a calculator really at all with these. Like maybe you did 2 times -6, but I mean 2 times -3, but otherwise, yeah. Yeah, it is kind of strange for sure.
Yeah.
Good. Also kind of be thinking as you're doing these, like, if I'm not allowed an example on a note card, right? Now we haven't told you if we're gonna let you use a note card or not, but it's kind of been a pattern where we have been. So you could start thinking about like inverses. If I'm not allowed an example, what could I write for myself on a note card that would help me on the test? Okay, so start thinking about those things too. And we'll let you know tomorrow if we're going to do that or not. Jessica and I need to talk. Yeah. You're all good? But I'm going to tell you the answer to this problem. And then that way, as you're going and working on the homework, which is this guy just says the period wrong because I'm lame. That way, as you're working on the homework, you have good examples to look back at. So the answer to example 3 is this. Okay, f inverse of x, and then 5 plus log base 6 of, and I'm putting my argument in parentheses on purpose. And I know some of you are doing different order of things, but you should still be fine. Like some of you, I think, did negative 9 plus x. It's the same answer. It's just in a different order. So that's the answer to this one. You have 10 homework problems. They are not due until next Monday. Remember, tomorrow is not going to be a homework work day. So you are going to have homework over rodeo unless you work on it tonight. And then you can be free over rodeo. So make a decision. And then, Giovanni, will you pass that back to Jay, please? So next Monday, as part of your review for your test, is I will post the answer key to this, and you can see how you did, check answers, and then I'll have some other review stuff to help you for your test on Wednesday of next week.